Should have done that on the main show, but that's okay. Is it 8 years? Does that sound right?
I don't know.
Hi, I'm Casey. And that's Mark. And that's Patrick.
What are you doing?
Recording.
What?
Are we live?
We're not live now.
Straight to tape.
Oh my goodness. All right. Hello, I'm Mark.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Patrick.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about the 4680 and its new milestones. But first, we're going to roll that title.
And our milestone, the anniversary.
You're watching the TTL Express.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us. We're talking about milestones today, and as Patrick mentioned just before the start of this show, it's a bit of a milestone that we're experiencing here on the Tesla Life. So we've been around for, as you can see in the numbering system, over 400 different weekly episodes have happened on this particular show, but also the longevity. Patrick, did you happen to take a look back in time and see where we're really at?
Yeah, the first episode was in April 8 years ago. And it's hard to believe it was 8 years ago. Yeah.
That is a long time. I when you said 8 years, I was thinking, isn't it 6?
That can't be right.
That's not
But
8
it is.
years. But yeah, that's impressive. 8 years, boy. We must really love this topic, or we're stupid, one or the other. But it's
A little of both.
April what?
Let me. I can't
April what
actually
number?
get to the exact date right now, just because I'm logged in this.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
different
Because
account.
remember, March 31st, right about 8 years ago, we stood in line to buy a car we'd never seen.
that's true.
Mhm.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
the next day, they were going to unveil it.
That's right. That's right. Now I waited until the unveil before I put in my order, but it was I just couldn't put my money down on something I haven't even seen. I had to know what the basic shape of it was, just in case.
Imagine had they done the Cybertruck back then, and then Patrick and I.
Oh man,
ordered
there
it.
would have been a lot of people freaking out, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the Cybertruck was strange in that it was shocking when you first saw it, and like with no frame of reference, immediately you go to, "Oh my god, that thing's ugly." But
Yep.
within 24 hours, my opinion had changed on the appearance. Like it took that long to get past the shock of it.
True.
Yeah. And Mark, I did.
more-
Well, I didn't wait in line very long. There were a lot of people that got there really early and stood in line, and it sounds like it was a fun event just to be there with the crowd of people.
Yep.
And I do love the Tesla community. In fact, I talked about a week and a half ago on the show how I had my first rock chip. Well, when I went in to get the rock chip fixed, I tried a do-it-yourself kit, and it would not work. And when I took it in, I told them I tried it just so they knew that it might have some resin or whatever. And they said, oh yeah, they had a problem with it because the way that it was cracked, the resin couldn't get in. They actually had to open it up a little bit more, so actually make the crack worse to allow the resin to get in to seal it. And I'm not going to do that.
No.
I'm not going to make it crack worse myself. That's a job for the pros. And but while I was there was a Model 3, and I started chatting with the owners, and they were like, "Oh, we love Tesla. We had a Model S, and then we had an S Performance, and now we have this Model 3 also." And so it really is just it's awesome when you have a cool group of people like that you can chat with, and I'm sure that day back in 2017 or whatever it was when people were waiting in line to get their Model 3 reservations. So, Mark, you got yours before I did, but you didn't wait in line. I did. I went in the afternoon, but the lines weren't that long. But still, it's all because I wanted the dual motor, so the all-wheel drive version, and so I had to wait a little longer
So you
to get that.
had to wait a little bit longer. Whereas I
Yeah.
took the single motor initial launch version, and what a great day that was getting it. And again, still loving it almost 7 years later.
Yeah. And then I waited in line from the morning. I waited 3.5 hours in line, and then it came early, and then slipped through my fingers because I bought a used Model S, and that moved me in line way up, and so you couldn't have two Teslas. So I ended up I sold it while it was in line before they introduced the you can't sell them in line policies, and so I went there to help them pick it up, and that was fun.
Yeah, it was
Cool.
it was a fun day for sure, for sure. Well, let's talk about another milestone that recently happened, and that, of course, is about the 4680. We had a milestone where the 100 millionth cell was produced, and of course, that number is pretty impressive in its own. Although, when you think about all the different cells that are required in every vehicle, when you say 100 million, it does kind of bring that into context, because of course you're using hundreds of cells in depending on the vehicle. You're using 100 or more cells in a vehicle to build every battery pack. So you're certainly that, you're going to need a large volume of cells in order to build these battery packs, because of course Tesla is selling close to 2 million vehicles a year. So you're going to have to go through a lot of cells in a battery pack in order to power these vehicles that are coming off the supply line. And just for some references to that number, they passed the 50 million 4680 last June, and they were exceeding 20 million in October of 2023. So you can see there is an acceleration in the number that are being produced. The 4680s are actually ramping up, and of course that's good, because the other bit of news that relates to the ramping up of the 100th million cell is that now the 4680 has become Tesla's lowest cost battery cell produced per kilowatt hour. So as this is ramped up, we've got more and more volume, and of course that drives down the cost of these batteries, these cells, as Tesla has indicated. And of course, the 4680 is, at this point, it's only being put into the Cybertruck. That's it. It's not in the Model 3. It's not in the Semi. It's strictly Cybertruck at this point. So obviously, over time, we believe that may change in the future. But right now, it's strictly Cybertruck, and that's where all these batteries are going.
Yeah, I know they made some test Model Ys that had it, because Drew was talking about his Model Y had the 4680s in it, but I think those are they did sell it to him as an employee, but so they are definitely looking to expand it into other places, even though the chairman of CATL said this cell form factor will never work. So obviously he knows batteries, and Tesla's just wasting their time with this.
Exactly.
The Cybercell has only gone into Cybertrucks that I'm aware of, but the 4680 did used to go into the GigaCast Model Y, and that one did have a less than desirable charging curve.
Right. It had limited run because it was not up to snuff yet. They were certainly monitoring those vehicles, and in fact, they were, I guess, at the point not happy with it because it was discontinued, because they were feeling that the charge time wasn't quite there. The amount of charge it would hold over the standard battery, the 2680, it was not there as well. So there's a number of fronts it was not being successful. And of course, we also heard about the 4680's trouble in trying to put in dry electrodes into the vehicle, into the cell itself. There was issues with manufacturing it. They had to resort to putting in a combination of dry and wet cell technology into one battery, whereas of course where they felt some of the efficiency and the cost savings of this new 4680 would be the dry cell construction, where you don't have to dry a wet slurry that's being put into the battery. You can just assemble it with dry, and you would not have to go through the drying process, therefore saving the time and the energy used to dry these electrodes. And that was not the case in the beginning. They had to modify what they were doing in order to make the battery work with the proper specifications they needed, and they couldn't do it in the beginning.
And now they're also looking at the dry anode at this point. So
Right.
we'll see.
And again, isn't this like everything that we've seen Tesla attempt to do in the past, and maybe not get to the full end goal at the beginning, but they had to go through a couple of iterations in order for them to get to the proper desired amounts or measurements that they needed. It's something that when you're building something brand new, you've drawn it up. It looks like physically it will work. It looks like financially it will work. Now you actually have to manufacture it, and you have to do it in such volumes that it all makes sense financially. And in some cases, you just cannot do that out of the gate. You have to go through a couple of trial and errors. And the 4680 has certainly been one of those inventions where they had to go through a number of trial and errors in order to get to this point where now 100 million have been produced.
Yeah, I experienced that one firsthand. Not the 4680s, but the process. I had a early 90 pack, and they had just tweaked the chemistry and the composition and the way they build the pack together to make a 90. And yeah, you got more energy and more range, but it was not their strongest formula. And so at some point through there, they end up replacing my pack with the new 90 formula. And that one lasted me till I was done with the car. And then again, what the 90 was trying to do, I got it again with the 100 on the Model X. And that one, the cells were not my issue. The boards were the issue. They just couldn't survive the heating and cooling, the condensation inside of the air that they equalize with, and so my boards rusted, and so did the connectors, and so they switched it out for one that had hopefully more of the conformal spray on there. But that's also why all the new non-legacies are full of foam, because with the foam there, the water can't displace it.
Yeah. Yeah, and this article also indicates that another part of this milestone is that Tesla isn't just focused on battery production. They certainly have other irons in the fire. They're producing new vehicles. They are producing, of course, the Model Y, the Cybertruck. They're scaling and continuing to build up. Now, certainly, battery components are a main staple of what Tesla does, but they do have many irons in the fire that they have to attend to as well. Whereas other battery companies have been trying to design the 4680 as well, and they have not gotten to the point that Tesla has been able to get to themselves. So again, it's not just that Tesla's focused on one thing. They're focused on multiple things, and this is just one faction of what they have to focus on. Whereas we've got some other battery manufacturers that are not able to get the cost down significantly to the point that Tesla has done with their own 4680. Even with Tesla's help, they're buying batteries from everybody, and they have indicated to others about about their need for the 4680 footprint or can size, and others have actually shied away from it. Some have engaged and tried to produce this battery, but they've not had the same success as Tesla has been able to do internally.
Yeah, but we know it wasn't a terrible idea because you've got all these other firms that like professional, like all we do is make batteries firms, 46X, 4690,
Yeah.
4665, 46100.
Obviously they're onto something. Like
I don't know where that
where the economics come out and you look at the size of the battery, you look at the energy density in the battery and the cost of making that battery. There are a number of sweet spots that make sense for that particular can size. And like at the beginning, the 18650 was the original battery that was inside the Model S, for example. And that battery was, at this point, it's Tesla's smallest battery. When the 3 was introduced, guess what? They upped the size of the can to the
2170.
2670 at that point. And it was like, this is the new standard. And they looked at that and it's like, they doubled that again to the 4680. So, there are things that stop you from scaling up to a certain size. And, obviously there even could be one bigger than the 4680 as time rolls along. But this is kind of interesting that over this time period, they had so many new inventions going into the 4680 that it took them a while to catch up with the ability to actually manufacture them at scale, that the size, the amounts that they needed in order to. And I would even argue that at today's point, 100 million is nowhere near enough. They're going to have to go well beyond that. We're going to have to get into the into the billions in order to get to a point where they can satisfy the need that they have for their vehicles, selling over close to 2 million vehicles a year.
And not just their vehicles, right? Their energy storage products.
True.
Yeah.
Which is why they buy batteries from anybody who will sell them batteries. Panasonic, BYD, CATL. They're buying tons and tons.
Yeah.
And so the 1 million, assuming that they had never made any Model Ys with it, would have been enough for 81,300 Cybertrucks.
Do you have any idea how many they've delivered to date?
Cybertrucks?
Yeah.
Around 50,000.
How many?
Less than 50,000.
Oh, okay.
Approaching.
Yeah, okay.
So
they've made enough cells for 80K and they've delivered fewer than 50K.
Don't forget they also made a lot of Ys, so.
Some, but really that number's probably inconsequential at this point, the amount.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, you're right. You're right. As time goes along, like how many times did we think that the Semi, for example, would be one that would be ideal for the 4680? And of course, when the early Ys came out with that test pack with the 4680s, we thought, oh, well, a structural 4680 pack makes complete sense for the Model Y. Yes, it would, but you have to be able to make them at scale. And to this point, we're still not really at the scale that they need to be at. Maybe they are at the point of the number of Cybertrucks are being purchased or being built, but there are certainly other aspects that this battery could work well for. And as Patrick mentioned, even in static storage is another one that is a huge opportunity for this battery again.
Definitely. It's going to be exciting future to watch.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's just going to keep coming. So it'll be interesting to see in the comments, when do you think that Tesla will get to the point of their 1 billionth 4680? They're at 100 million now. Okay, so that's just 10 times more. When will they be at 1 billion batteries for the 4680? Put down your guess in the notes. It'd be interesting to see what you think, how fast they will be able to scale up to 10 times what they're presently at for the 4680. And with that, I think we'll go to shoutouts. Casey, what do you got for us?
Well, catch us in just 2 days for the Tesla Life live. Same time, same place. If you're watching this as it premieres. Otherwise, that's 7 p.m. Eastern
Very
on
good.
Wednesday.
Thanks so much, Patrick.
As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net, where I write about my future free from fossil fuel. And since today's Monday, I just posted a story yesterday that you can go check out to see how much winter time impacts your range.
Winter compared to summer. It'd be interesting
Yeah.
to see. And just a bit of a spoiler, it surprised you, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Yeah, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Because, I mean, you hear people throw around numbers of, it's 30%, 40% worse. And my data shows it's not that bad. But you'll have to go look at the article to see how bad it was. There is
Very
an
good.
impact.
We will do that. And
Yeah,
we'll get together next time, and together we'll find out what's happening in the Tesla life. Thanks so much for joining us. Give us a thumbs up while you're sitting there and help us out. Thanks so much.